Hi. So everything you really need to know about time and technology, you can learn by watching The Real Housewives of Orange County. Now, I started watching this show because my wife would watch it in bed when we'd go to sleep at night. And, you know, I watch TV like a media theorist. I'm a communications theorist. So I was watching this show and trying to figure out why these women were having such a hard time communicating. It seemed to be a show about miscommunication. You know, but these women, they have the same socioeconomic background, they're from the same geographic area, they're the same level of wealth, they speak the same language. They shouldn't be misunderstanding each other this much. So I started watching the show more deeply, and I realized what their problem is that they've injected so much Botox into their faces, they've had so much plastic surgery that their facial expressions don't match the things that they're trying to say. Right? So one will say, oh, my daughter's getting tested for cancer. And the other one says, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Right? And on a heart level, right, the other person, the 94% of communication that's supposed to be happening non-verbally is not in sync with what's coming out of their mouths. Right? So I realized what these women did was, in trying to lock their faces down in the timescape of age 29, they've made themselves unavailable to the moment that they're actually living in. Right? And it called to mind for me the fact that the Greeks had two different words for time. Right? They had chronos, which is time on the clock, and kairos, which is human timing. Right? Chronos is what time did you crash the car? I crashed the car at 4:01. Right? What time do you tell Dad you crashed the car? 4:17? No, you tell Dad you crashed the car after he's had his drink and before he's opened the bills. Right? That's chronos. It's a sense of human timing. Right? When digital technology emerged, I thought this was going to be a boon for chronos. You know, like many of you in the late 80s, early 90s, I saw the internet and I thought, great, now we're all going to get to work at home, in our own time, in our underwear, in some great new peer-to-peer Etsy reality, unexploited by the industrial age time clock and all that time is money ethos. Now, I remember, gosh, when I would do email or go on a bulletin board, right? In the old days, you would turn on the computer, you'd plug it in, you'd use this thing called a modem, you would plug it into a phone line, you'd download the conversation in progress, you'd disconnect from the internet, you'd read the conversation and think about how you wanted to participate. Right? And you might spend all night writing this single, perfect, beautiful paragraph. Then you'd plug back in and upload it into the conversation. And you sounded smarter on the internet than you did in real life. Right? Imagine that. Right? You did because you had all the time in the world. Right? The problem with this was it turned out that the average internet-connected home was watching 9 hours less commercial television a week. We were all doing shareware and having fun with each other. So Wall Street and some of our friends in Silicon Valley, they saw the internet as something very different. Right? They saw the internet as a way to save the dying NASDAQ stock exchange. So instead of using the net to give us more time, right, we were induced to strap these devices to ourselves and have them ping us and vibrate every time someone updates or tweets or sends an email or an SMS or there's a... Right? We end up living in this state of perpetual emergency interruption. Right? It's the kind of state of consciousness that used to be endured only by a 911 operator or an air traffic controller. And they only did it 4 hours a day and they took drugs to deal with it. Right? And we do it 24/7. Right? Every time we have a new media technology, we end up creating new relationships between chronos and kairos. It's not just digital. Right? It's as far back as text. Right? Before text, we didn't have time. We didn't have a past or a future. We just lived. The stars went around. The seasons happened. You were just there. Once we had text, that's when we got history. That's when we could write down, oh, this happened, that happened. Once we had text, we had a past. Once we had text, we also got a future. With text, some of the earliest documents are what? They're contracts. What is a contract? A contract is saying, I will be accountable in the future. Right? So with text, our bias of time changed. We got the notion of progress. All of a sudden, there's a now and there's a later. We got the Messiah. We got the future. We got empire. Right? Now we have something to live for, a future, and we have a past that we came from. When we got the clock, that created a new relationship between Chronos and Kairos. With the clock, all of a sudden, we could break up the day into all these little pieces, this little pie chart of a day. And we got new values. Instead of making things and selling them, now we sold our time. We worked by the hour for companies. Instead of having money that might have been based on grain or abundance, now we had money that was lent into existence at interest from a central bank. What is that? Money with a clock built in. That requires progress. That requires growth. Right? The bias of the clock era became efficiency over time. Right? Time is money. You know, now with digital technology, we get a very new notion of time. Right? And it's hard to understand because we're just in it. It's so new. Now, the way I think about it is I remember when my dad replaced my alarm clock. I used to have a great analog alarm clock. And I remember when I would go to sleep at night, I'd watch the second hand go around the thing, and I think, oh, there's a new minute. Now it's going around. Oh, it's getting down. Oh, it's halfway through. Oh, my gosh, now we're coming up around. Oh, it's almost the end, almost the end, almost the end. Oh, it's a new minute, right? Each minute had this story, this sort of linear arc to it. Then he replaced that with a digital clock, and it was the old kind that used to flip down. And it's like, okay, now it's 9:03, 9:03, 9:03, bam, 9:04, 9:04, 9:04, bam, 9:05. And all of a sudden, this linear thing of time became this sequence, right? These pulses. Right? The quality of digital time is that we move from choice to choice to choice to choice. That's what digital gives us, choice. Right? So first we got progress, then we got efficiency, and now we have choice, 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 choice. Right? Where we live in this kind of video game reality of moving from choice to choice to choice. On some levels, it's beautiful. On others, it's quite challenging. Right? What does all this choice do to the way we organize, the way we structure our reality? What we've used until now are stories. Right? Our great hero's journey is the way we've organized our reality. Right? Create a character the audience likes, have that character make a series of choices that put him into danger. We move up the inclined plane of anxiety with him, right, vicariously, until finally he can't take any more danger. He comes up with a solution, and yay, we get to go down the other side. It's sort of the crisis, climax, and relief, the male orgasm curve of narrative theory, right? It's ever since Aristotle. Right? And that got abused, of course. Right, not just by Arnold Schwarzenegger and television, but by commercials. Right, in 30 seconds we can watch the girl. She's excited to go to the prom, but oh no, she has a zit. What is she going to do? Oh, she tries popping it, and she gets it infected, and she puts all this crap on it, and it gets worse and worse until she gets to the top of the inclined plane, and then she discovers the great acne cream, and she puts it on, and the psychedelic colors go through her body, and Right, that's a coercive story that works on a captive audience, one without choice. Right, an audience where the only way to get out of that story is to walk up to the television, turn the dial, and adjust the rabbit ears to get to another channel. With digital technology, just the remote control, the DVR, all of a sudden you have an exit from that story. You have a choice. You have a way out. That story doesn't work. Now, that upsets lots of people. That upsets people who depend on stories to get us to do what they want. Right? That upsets political parties. That upsets campaigns. That upsets the entire 20th century, which was about what? Movement towards goals. Ends justify the means. Eyes on the prize. Let's just get there. Right? Capitalism, communism, civil rights, environmental rights, whatever. We're going to solve that. We're going to win. We're going to do whatever we have to get to the end, and then we're going to win, and we're going to have victory. Don't worry about what you have to do along the way, because we're going to go to the victory. We're going to do it. Yay. Right? It's great for sticking a flag on the moon, right? We have a goal, we're going to do it. But I would argue it's not really consonant with the challenges of a 21st century society. Our problems are not winner-take-all type problems. Our challenges are much more about sustainability than they are about victory. You don't have a war on hunger. You don't have a war on the environment. You don't win the environment. You live with the environment. Right? These are problems not of Chronos that you get to the end. These are problems and challenges of Kairos that you live with, that you work with. These are the problems of sustainability. Now, the people who should know this, right, the great digital heroes of our era, they're still trapped in the stories of the 20th century. Right? Most of the people working in digital technology, they just want to get to their IPO. Yay! Victory! And the smart ones, they're the ones who really scare me. They take a good old-fashioned 20th or 10th century narrative and superimpose it on digital technology. So they say, no, this isn't about finding a new sustainable now in which we're going to live from choice to choice to choice. No, this is really the story of information evolving towards greater states of complexity. Right? The humans only matter insofar as they can make technology more complex. What we're really going to, it's not the Messiah, don't worry, he's not coming, but the singularity is coming. We're all moving towards this moment, this singularity, when technology will become smarter than people, and then people will only be important insofar as they can keep the technology going. And to say anything else is hubris. Well, that's human loathing. It's not hubris, and if it is hubris, tough. I'm on Team Human. Right? I happen to be one, and I care about that. No, to say that human beings are only important insofar as they can develop the information into greater states of complexity has the medium and the message reversed. Information doesn't exist without people to understand it. It wouldn't be information, it would just be bleh. You know, even in our popular culture, I see the same problem, the same need for a grand narrative to explain the now that we're really in, the now that everyone's been trying to disconnect us from all this time. You know, so you turn on the tube and you see zombie apocalypse fantasies. And these are fantasies. I mean, people long for a zombie apocalypse. At least you won't be getting Twitter updates, right? You just sit on the top of a hill with a shotgun and shoot slow-moving zombies. It's a relief. But it's also a human-loathing fantasy, right? Because what's at the core of every zombie movie is how do we distinguish between the zombies and us? What makes us better than the zombies? They eat, we eat, they... Again, it's human-loathing. But what it comes from is an inability to actually be here now, an inability to embrace the present that digital technology actually offers us, this escape from all of these older Chronos models of time. Corporations live in Chronos. Religions live in Chronos. Institutions live in Chronos. Technologies live in Chronos. Human beings, we live in Kairos. Right? And Kairos is a place they can't touch us. Kairos is a place they can't understand. Right? If we want to really explore what it means to be human in the 21st century, it means embracing that now, embracing that Kairos, embracing that notion of time that's more about readiness and aliveness than it is about endings. Thanks a lot.